Hi friends. Thank you for joining on. Hello. Am I audible to you guys?
Yeah, you are audible.
Hi friends. Thank you for joining us on this wonderful weekend. Welcome to Aiitweb's free Python master course. Let's wait for a couple of minutes so that let others also join. I think three more people are waiting. Just give me a minute. Yeah. Uh, Hello.
Right?
I Just give us a minute. Hello. Is my voice audible to you guys? Could you please confirm in chat?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, Once again, thank you all for joining this program on this weekend, and thanks for confirming. Uh, let's start actually. Yeah, just give me a second. I will share my presentation. Yep. Okay. Uh, Sorry, there is a technical issue here. I'm not able to run this presentation slide. I'm just trying to check that. Yeah, just give me a minute. Sorry, guys. Thanks. Sorry for the delay, and let's start. Okay. Um. So once again, we welcome you all for the Aiitweb's pre-Python masterclass, and I think we have already wasted some couple of times. I'm sorry for that. So let's move on to the session. Okay. I hope my voice is audible to you guys. In case of any issues, please let me know in the chat. Yeah. Thank you. Um. So the main agenda of this session is to what are the agendas of the session? So I'll just let me explain. Let me walk through. So, who is, what is AIT Web stands for and who we are? I will explain you about us, and we will introduce. Then we comes to the actual part of the session. So we are going to get to know what is Python and what is the programming language and what does it stands for and the other aspects of it. And followed by we'll be having a theory session, so which is about the concepts of Python, basic concepts of Python. And after that, we'll have a hands-on session, and finally, we'll planning for Q&A session. Okay. So what is AIT Web? So who we are? So that is what the very first thing why we took this initiative of Python programming session, why we wanted to start and why we wanted to provide. So before getting to that, I just want to introduce who we are. So AIT Web stands for AI Industrial Training Web. So our main focus is on providing training for AI. Okay. So we are trying to form an industrial training group community. So this is our first initiative to that. Okay. And how this industrial training is different from a regular institutional or academic training. We are mainly focusing on practical and with limited, more practicals and with limited theory. Just give me a few minutes. I think someone joined. Just, yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Sorry for the interruption. Yeah. And what we do. Okay. So as a AIT web company, so what are the things we are offering to the people? What are the things we are trying to provide down the line in the near future? So we are actually an AI solution consultant company. So what we do is we take the traditional product or traditional software solutions and try to enable the AI side of it. Okay. So which means like we are able to deliver an AI enabled product of your traditional software system. Also, what we do is like if you have an AI solution which is not performing better, which is not performing well, so with this product, we can enable the, with our expert consulting and advice, we can make the product work better. Okay. And apart from that, what else we do is we are in-house developing end-to-end AI tools as well as end-to-end AI products as well as some tools which supports to build the AI system. So these are the two agenda we have in mind when we started this. But behind the screen, the very first step which we wanted to set forth is like we start with the training, then we are planning to develop our product lines and consultings. Okay. And we do provide corporate trainings for AAML. So wherein we are enabling the existing workforce to become AI enabled. So instead of hiring a new people, so we can help the corporates to convert the existing workforce to an AI ML enabled. So if at all they have any opening on that line, they don't need to hire from outside. They can able to get their own resources if they are not able to afford it. If suppose they wanted to train for the new students, that also we are providing. And this particular approach in corporate training is called, we call it as workforce enablement. So there is a huge demand for AML developers in the industry, but the supply is very less. Even the people, interested people are more, but the problem is the trained people are very less in this industry. Okay. And last comes this AML training with internship program. And this is for the people like you guys. So we are providing training for individuals, and we are offering internship as well. So this covers it. This is a paid training, so which is having 3 months to 6 months span. So wherein you get in 3 months, we are covering Python, we cover ML basics, we cover deep learning, and there are some projects, hands-on projects which will be giving to you. You will be working, and if you are going for 6 months, you will be getting a chance to work with our AI products and tools which we are developing right now in the backend. So you'll get a hands-on on that. So these tools and products, we are in the stealth mode. We are not revealing that as of now, and we are working on it. Okay. So, but the people who are hired for this internship, who are enrolled for the internship, they get a chance to work on that if at all they are interested for it. So before moving to this session, I just want to thank for our training volunteers and who is behind this. Okay, there are few peoples here. Mainly, I just wanted to point, starting from Raj. Raj is a person who is actually possess a good amount of Python and natural language processing skill sets, and he is actually a chatbot architect, and he is joining with us in this to walk me through this Python, and he will be guiding you in the hands-on session with you guys. Okay. And next is Lokesh. Uh, so he is actually he's not able to give any session on this because he's a kind of a very busy guy and he's kind of top management guy, and he is with us, and he is kind of a subject matter expert in Python. He possesses a very good knowledge because in fact I started my Python with him. Okay. And yeah, so he is kind of a go-to guy for any Python related stuffs. So whenever we say we have this solution in this programming language, how do you approach this? He always comes and tell there is a Pythonic way to handle this. So that's where he stands, and he will be joining us not in the session, but when you take this complete training program, he will be joining with us. Okay. And there is one more person called Chandrish here, and I would like to point him because he is the junior to me, but still he has a good knowledge in mathematics and programming logics, and he is very well versed in computer vision, and who is good at probability and statistics. So during this program, again, he will be able to guide us on this ML basics and statistics and probability wherever it is needed. He will be uh, guiding us and supporting us. And parallelly, he'll be working with us for computer vision related stuffs. Okay. And I just wanted to, I didn't prepare that slide for each and everyone. Sorry to say that. So I just wanted to tell them, okay, tell their names. That's it. And yeah, and even myself, I'm Eddie. Actually, I have around 16 years of experience in this industry, and I do have skills on this NLP and machine learning and data science. Also, I have niche skills of working on deployment of machine learning or deep learning model into the cloud and edge cases. So wherein taking from the cloud, I have deployed the models on the cloud as well as edge cases. Where for edge devices, we do some kind of compression, model compression. There are lots of things. So which I have a handful of experience of it. And one more thing, when it comes to ML tools or DevOps or ML ops, uh, Raj is kind of well versed in that. So he is also with us in this program. Okay. So this particular Python program, why we planned is just like an entry stepstone for this AI program because whenever you go for an any AI solutions, Python is kind of a foundation for it. Okay. So all these products, all whatever AI solutions which is being developed in the current industry, 95% of the tools are developed on top of Python. So Python is kind of a stepping stone for it. So people who are worried about Python, who's not able to grasp any Python, or else who's not having any clue about Python, so to get into this industry, they will be little hesitant because they feel like we have to learn lots of technologies and skills to get into this. So to break that barrier, we are just giving away this Python as a free giveaway for everyone. So that if they gain confidence, we wanted them to onboard with us, and then we can help them in their AI career. Okay, that's the whole idea. Okay. That's pretty much about our company and who are the training volunteers which I'm talking about. And let's move on to uh, the agenda of this session. I mean Python. Okay. Just give me a minute. Sorry, just give me a minute. I'll just, there's one more person is waiting to join. Yep. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. So let's start with our agenda of the session. Yeah, Python. Okay. So what is Python? What is a programming language? Okay. So why do we go for Python? So Python is kind of a very simplest language which everyone can learn. Any beginners who's starting the career in programming. So to go with Python is a recommended language, I feel, because of the language simplicity, and it has lots of abstractions and high level language features which is like ready to start with. Okay, let's go to the features of Python and we'll see what is. So Python is a high level language, which most of you guys aware of. So which has a rich set of data structures and constructs like lists, dictionaries, and comprehensions. And these are the things which avoids you to write the boilerplate code which you need to write whenever you wanted to start a program. Boilerplate code is nothing but if we wanted to write some simple list operations, we need to implement everything from the scratch. For example, if you take C and all. So Python doesn't need you don't need to write those kind of the basic data structure needs and all. You don't need to write from the scratch. It is readily available. Okay. That is one of the feature of Python. And Python is an interpreted language. So what is an interpreted language? What is like I mean again Python, I mean interpreted language is in the sense the code will be executed line by line rather than compiled. So the advantage here is like we can execute the code line by line in the sense so it will not get compiled into a machine code. So this gives you a portability. That is one advantage. And i- the main thing behind is whenever you wanted to test this Python code, so we don't need to compile. There is a whole lot of time which we get when you go for any other languages. Compilation time is a big deal. So here Python language in the runtime it gets executed line by line. So we'll not waste time on the compilation process. And moreover, we can test then and there any simple line of execution you wanted to try. We can write that particular line and execute it. That is one advantage. And Python comes with an extensive set of standard libraries. So which means that there are lots of string functions, date, time, and all these things comes with a complete package. Okay. So you don't need to depend on any external libraries which needs to be installed later. Once you install Python, so this all comes with hands-on and along with that package, and you just need to import them and start working on it. Okay. And Python supports multi-programming paradigm. So when you talks about programming language, this word often you might have heard of, which is like object-oriented paradigm, functional programming, procedural programming, all these things. So what is it stands for? Whenever you design a software or project, there are various approaches. So object orientation is one way where you use the class and objects, and functional programming and procedural programming is other ways where you write functions. And functional programming it's a kind of a place where you go for when you need more immutable functions you wanted to write, and wherein uh, you don't have to, I mean this is very powerful when it goes for concurrent and parallel programming. And procedural programming is nothing but our C kind of programming languages, wherein we write programming procedures basic. Okay, so we'll get into these details when you get the hands-on on the code. So this is pretty much on this multiple paradigm, whatever I mentioned. Okay. And Python offers you a garbage collection feature. So when you go for a C or C++, when you try to do a dynamic memory allocation, so you will be responsible for deallocation of those memory objects. If you fail to do it, it will do a memory leak. It will lead to a memory leak. So that will be a problem again, and it will eventually stop the system, and it will like the system will get hung. All these things you will observe. But in Python, it has this garbage collection feature, which will get cleared up over the period of time automatically. You don't need to do anything by the programmer. And the main advantage, what is I have personally seen on most of the people like is Python is dynamically typed. So whenever you need to declare a variable in any language, programming language, we used to give the data type of it, and then you will define what is the variable name it is. Okay. So in a way, we are saying that this particular variable is going to store only this kind of data type. Okay. But if you say dynamically typed, so which means that we don't need to define it. So on the fly, it will take, if you assign a string, if you assign an integer, it can change any of this type dynamically. That is why it is called as dynamically typed. And Python follows the duck typing philosophy. So when you say duck typing philosophy, it's again one more advantage of Python. So when you're dealing with some type of objects, what is you're trying to access some member variable member functions of it. So when you're trying to access it, it will in general in C or any other languages, what it does is like it will go and check the type of the object, and if it supports that method or not, it will throw an error. But Python, what it will do is like it will try to call that function without worried about what is it type. So there is a way to implement these functions, override these functions in Python. So Python provides that provision for you. So using which you can implement that functionality. Okay. So Python follows this behavior duck typing because we do if suppose the user has implemented that function, it will be considered and it will be ignored by the function what is the underlying type. Okay. So that is one advantage when it comes for the implementation side. So you will understand that when you start writing program on the Python. And as I said, Python supports uh, cross-platform. So without any code modifications, the same code can be run on various operating systems. So because we use the word interpreter, right? So there, what it happens is, so whenever you do a compilation, the language will get compiled into a machine code, which is like a platform specific. When you develop the code which runs on Windows, we cannot run the same code executable on Linux or Mac. So that kind of incompatibility issues will be there. But this is not a Python feature, even Java has the same feature, wherein it will convert the language to an intermediate form called as bytecode, and this bytecode can be converted into the underlying platforms. So it will take care of executing this bytecode with respect to the underlying platform. So the interpreter will pass that. So according to the platform, it will be able to run. So we don't need to run this code or convert this code for multiple platforms. The same code runs on this all platforms. That's the thing about it. Okay. So this is pretty much. I think it's too vague here. I don't want you to spend much time on this. But these are the things we'll revisit these areas whenever we get doubt. We'll get clarified on that. Okay. So now comes the theory session or the language basics we are trying to focus on. So okay. If you have any queries till now, you just let me know. I'll just put it on. Or else, if you guys want me to continue, I will just continue this. So, you guys have any queries or questions? I'm sorry, there is some glitch initially I had, and I did not pick up that pace. I guess we lost in between. I guess we are on track. If you have any queries and questions, I can take it up, or else I will move on to the next session of that. Okay. So I'll just consider that, I mean, take it as an yes, and just move continuing with the session. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Let's move on to what is a variable in Python. Okay. So variable is nothing but a named storage location in memory. So which is like, so whenever you are referring to a memory, generally in programming languages you take, you will be dealing with storing the data and manipulating the data. So we cannot refer that memory address by using our I mean, we cannot refer that memory address. Memory address is usually like a hex or an integer numbers. So where we will not we'll be dealing with. I mean, you will be there. There are ways to access it, but we don't need to get into that. So variable is a kind of a name, a named storage. Okay. So using which we can able to do the manipulation. We can store. We can write. All these things we can do. Okay. That's the simple definition of it. And there is a syntax to follow when it comes to Python. So variable name, I mean, most of the languages has the same kind of rules. So variable name should start with a letter and an underscore and cannot start with numbers. Okay. So when you take I mean, for example, variable name can be like, just let me connect my pen tab, just give me a minute. Just open the screen. I don't know, oh, sorry. Yeah. Again, there's a problem here with this pen tab. Okay. Yeah. Oh, as I said, variable is a name storage location in this memory. And what we're trying to do is we're just going to define a variable which is like a memory storage. For example, here we have a memory, and this is what the memory looks like. And we're storing a variable, I mean, value, for example, 1, 3, 4. Okay. Assume this is a memory storage. So when you wanted to create a variable and refer it. So for example, we are creating a variable named A and creating a variable named C, I mean B and C. So this is what we are actually pointing. Internally, it is pointing to a memory location. So whenever you say A plus B, so which means that the memory values of 1 and I mean pointing the memory value of A, which is nothing but 1, and the value of B, which is 3, so which is get added and which will get finally you'll get the results of 4. So what happens is when you say A plus B in the program, behind the screen, what the compiler or what the Python interpreter will do, it will go and refer the memory which it is pointed to. That value will get loaded here. I mean, it will happen behind the screen. So what I'm saying is that value will get be used for the manipulation. So that is what here we are pointing for manipulation. And if suppose you wanted to store this value, C is equal to A plus B if you store. So this value will get updated and will get stored here. So that is what storing and manipulation. So this is simple concept. I don't want to confuse here. And generally, the variable names follow the structures. You have kind of alphabets we use generally. Alphabets. I mean, it should be the start, or else we can use an underscore in the start for a variable name. but we cannot start with a number. That is the rule here. Okay, so that's the thing I just wanted to insist in this second line, second point. And whenever, for example, you were defining a value, adding, I mean, okay, just give me a minute. Let me just give an example. I think we'll get to that. So what is the variable? I mean, what is the standard way of representing a variable in Python? So generally what we do is like we write it like, say, for example, if we are trying to do something like, I'm just declaring a variable, integer variable. For our time being, I'm just returning like this, integer underscore var. Okay. So this is a kind of a proper way of writing a variable in Python. So there are other ways also we can write. It doesn't mean any type case here, but this is the kind of a standard which we follow. Okay, this is a kind of best practice, and we cannot define a variable like this. We cannot define a variable like this two underscore var or one underscore var. But instead, what we can do var underscore one, var underscore two. Likewise, we can create. So these are acceptable. These are not acceptable. So variable is kind of, again, I'm just trying to reiterate the same thing whatever I said. Variable is a name given to a storage location which is used for storing and manipulating the data within a program, and it follows a rule saying it's always starts with a letter or underscore. It cannot start with numbers. That's pretty much it. So now let's move on to what are the data types we support in Python. There are other data types available as well. I might have ignored due to the complexity, which we will revisit in the next iteration. Okay. Yep. Yeah. These are the list of types currently we are going to focus on. So integer. So integer and float. So what is an integer? What is in the float? I think most of the people are aware of this. So for those people who are new to programming language, I just wanted to explain them. So if you are already aware of it, please don't feel bored and let me walk through what is it. And yeah, please, please bear with me. Yeah. So the integer variable is mainly used to store the whole numbers, and whole numbers are nothing but it can be like one, two, three, likewise, infinity, up to infinity, and will not have any other fraction numbers. Okay, I mean decimal numbers. To store a decimal numbers, we are using a type called float, so which is to store the decimal numbers. For example, if it is like 1.56. So these kind of 0.003. So all these kind of variables, I mean, values can be stored using float. So data types are nothing but it is what is the kind of data which you are going to deal with, which you are going to store. So variable is type which is like given a stored location, we are giving a name, and data type is nothing but we are giving the what is the type of value which is going to store or deal with. So Python generally supports multiple. I mean, there is few more types it supports. I just left it. I'm just wanted to insist on the very often used data types. Okay, and here comes the Boolean. So Boolean is the place where you use there is a conditional statements where you wanted to store true or false. Some flag values which you wanted to use. We use the Boolean type. Okay, and here comes the string. So string is something like any characters. So, for example, your other number or your what to say, your name or anything. So anything which is kind of a group of characters can be represented using this string data type. Okay, it's just kind of a group of characters. Okay, and this usually enclosed in uh, quotes. Okay? So it can be a double quotes or it can be a single quote. It can be so if suppose I wanted to declare the name Python as a string, we have to enclose this inside a double quote. So similarly, we can enclose in this single quote also. This will be interpreted by the Python languages a string. So whenever you declare something in the quotes, inside the quotes, it will be considered as a string. Okay. So even if suppose you can define this, the above defined numbers also, if you just put 0.333 and put it in double quotes, it will not treat this as number. It will consider this as a string. Okay. Just I wanted to add that point. And list and tuple is these are like we what we call these types are primitive types. So this is pretty much supported in most of the languages, and these are like the fundamental. Whenever you write any programming language, these are the data types it needs to uh, get our problem solved. Okay, so these are the data types which will be used by any programming languages. Most of the languages it supports this, and this is nothing but the collections. Okay, so they call this as a collection types, which is like group of data types. Okay, so how you handle some group of datas. So list is something like when you have a list, or tuple is something like a list of sequence of items. So when you have a sequence of items, so we can store using list. So again, this sequence items, it can be like in a single variable, you wanted to store multiple values, which are, for say, for example, I'm just going to have 1 to 100. So those values you wanted to store will go for this list or tuple. I'll get to the point where a tuple should be used, where list should be used. So let's assume that these are to use the sequence of data type. I mean, sequence of items or sequence of values you wanted to store. And just make it sequence of values to store. List and tuple data structure comes to the picture. And dictionary. Dictionary is actually a key value pair type, wherein we maintain a respective key. Okay, for example, suppose I'm just giving an example like, okay, so I have a structure, so which is having a name. So I'm just having a name as the key, and your name should display. Say for example, it's Prakash name, and what's his salary. Say for example, he's getting around 50K. Okay, so here name is nothing but the key, and this is nothing but the value. So the data structure is used to maintain this key value pairs. Okay, that is where dictionary comes. Uh, that's it about this data types. Let me move on to. Okay. So we have gone through a variable, how we define a variable, and what are the integer. I mean, what are the data types Python supports. Let's go to the place where we can use both of this. Okay. Let's try to understand how we can use this in a Python program. So when you wanted to define an integer variable, so what we do, so as you know, Python variable declaration doesn't support any, I mean, we don't need to define the data type. Okay. For example, I'm just going to define a variable called integer variable. Okay. So it's not a mandatory to give any integer or what is the data type I'm going to use. I can rather give var underscore one also. So that also works. But I'm just trying to give a meaningful name for this. In this context, I'm just going to define a variable of integer type. So what defines the type of integer, I mean, type of this variable in Python is the value which you are passing it. Suppose I'm passing 23. So this 23 belongs to an integer type. So internally what Python interpreter does, it will give, assign a data type of integer and give that address to this. I mean, it will be assigned to this integer underscore variable. Okay, where. So this is the variable name. Now this variable automatically becomes an integer type. Similarly, if you wanted uh, a float variable, so I will just, I mean, for timing, I'm just going to use var underscore one. I mean, okay, var underscore one, var underscore two, like that. I'm just planning to, I'll use it. Okay. So for example, if I give value 23, so this become an example for integer variable. And suppose I'm just giving 2.3 here. So now var underscore to becomes a float type, and var underscore three. I wanted to define this as a Boolean type. So I'll be initializing a value with true or false. Okay, now I just initialized with true. So which means var underscore three is nothing but a Boolean data type. Okay. Um, these are the types which we covered. I mean, okay. So now let's move on to string. Okay. How do you define a string? So either you have to use double quotes or single quotes. I'm just going to use a double quote. I'm just going to have 23. as a string. Okay. So now this become a string type. And similarly, we wanted, okay, let's stick with this primitive data types. So I think these are nothing but the primitive data types. We'll discuss about list in a separate chapter. Okay. So now whatever we have learned, so we have a variable here and which we assigned an data type. Okay. So so each variable will take the type based on the right hand side, RHS side, whatever values which you are assigning, it is taken from that, and it is I mean it is taken that type. So now just one wants to join.
Ready? I will take care of those
Yeah.
joinies. Yeah.
So as I said, so we have defined various variables of data types with respective types. So in Python, what it does when you define a variable based on the data type, what you assign on the right hand side, it will automatically type it. Okay, this is what we called as dynamic typing. So I have mentioned in this in the very beginning of the slide, where you might have seen. Okay, okay. So I have mentioned as dynamically typed. So meaning you don't need to declare the variable types explicitly. So this is what it is. Okay. Whenever you define a type, I mean, define a variable and assign a data type, it will dynamically takes it data types and gets it assigned to it. Okay. Yeah, that's about data types and this one. Okay. Okay. Just 1 minute. I just wanted to create one more slide. Okay. So, do you have any questions till now? If you have any questions, I'm just going to stop it for a while. You can ask questions in the chat sessions, or else I will enable. I think you can ping in the chat if you have any queries or questions, or else you want me to continue. I can continue. Please please tell me yes or no in the chat so that I just want to know you guys are following up or not. Yeah. Shall I continue? Okay. I think few people replied saying continue. Okay, let me continue the session. Sure. Uh, So now we are at the very basics level where you know how to define a variable and how to assign the data types. And basically any programming language you take, it will be doing some kind of arithmetic operations. Say for example, we'll be doing addition, we'll be doing kind of all this multiplication, division, all these steps. And likewise, we'll be doing some kind of conditional checks and assigning Boolean values and dealing with strings. So these are the steps we generally do. Yeah. So yeah. Before moving on to conditional statements, I just wanted to say what is how we can make use of this variable. Suppose I wanted to execute and sum operation. Okay, sum of two numbers. How we generally write? I mean, is using a programming language as it's meant. So I wanted a variable for. I mean, I'm just going to take this example. What we initially gave is, I mean, we wanted number two and 3, and wanted to save this value, add these two values and save it in this value 4. Okay. I'm just going to use a variable for each of these values and the output. Okay. Here I'm just going to use a variable called A, variable called B, and I'm just going to use a variable called C. This is output variable, and these two are input. Okay. This is our idea. This is our logic. We are going to implement it. So how you can write the program? Uh, so in general, one more thing I just forgot to say. I think when you get to the hands-on session, you'll get more idea on that. In what is, I mean, Python supports indentation based. We don't use any flower brackets or any other braces or other programming syntax. So we just use space to align and group these sentences, which you'll know in the during the hands-on session. I will not concentrate on that part. Let me just tell you how to do this. Okay, sum of two numbers, how you can write a program in Python. So first of all, what we need is we wanted to as this uh, as I declared on this side, where you can see what is our motive, what kind of program we are going to write. Okay, so we wanted to define a variable for storing number 2. Okay, so here I'm just defining a variable starting with the letter A, and it can be a single letter, it can be a sequence of letters. The condition is it has to start with a letter. That's why we are sticking with that logic. We are defining a variable called A and assigning the value 1. Now A become, sorry, 2. Now A is become a variable of data type integer, so which has a value 2 now. And similarly, what we are going to do, B is actually 3. And finally, what we wanted to add these two numbers and store it in C. So what we do, A is equal to, sorry, C is equal to A plus B. That's it. So these are the three statements we need to write to implement this particular problem, to implement this particular requirement. Okay. Okay. So similarly, we can write the program logic for doing 3 minus 2 or whatever arithmetic operations you wanted to do. It can be like 3 by 2. It can be like 3 modulo 2. There are multiple operators which we have, and which you will get to know during the hands-on session. So basically, what are the types of operators we have here is like, I will tell you the list. One is like arithmetic operators. Arithmetic operators are nothing but plus, minus, division symbol. So usually this divide symbol is represented by slash, and multiplication is represented using star. And there is an operator called modulo, and there are a few other things. So there is one more double slash operator. This is equivalent to divide, but just ignores the fraction part. And modulo is nothing but it is kind. I mean, in the division operation, when you are getting any remainder, right? To wanted to capture the remainder, modulo will be used, and you will get to know when the hands-on starts. Okay. And similarly, there are other operators. Okay, which we call it as logical operators. Okay. So before moving to the conditional statements, I just wanted to tell what are the operators Python supports. That's why I'm just insisting on this. Okay. Logical operators mean generally and or. Okay. So these are kind of logical and logical or. So which is like when you wanted to add some conditions, these logical operators will make sense once you get to the conditional things. I mean, you will understand what is it. Suppose, for example, I wanted to check a condition where A is equal to 2 and B is equal to 3, then only you have to do some executions. Those places, these operators will comes handy and it will be useful. And similarly, there are multiple other operators as well. So, for example, there is a membership operator, which we say. So this you'll get to know when you take after we take the collections list and tuples, you will get to know what is it. And similarly, there is a identification operator. So which is like to know what type it is. So to know to compare the memory location where it is saved. So that is those are kind of very detailed. I don't want to get into that level. Let's stick with this. Okay. I think let's not complicate the things much. So now whatever we have done is like we have started with what is a variable, we have reached what is data type, and how we can make using this variable to execute our requirement. Okay. So now we have reached this place. Now I'm just going to take the conditional statements. Okay. I guess, yeah. So generally conditional statements are nothing but when you wanted to check some kind of conditions. Okay. So before getting to conditional statements, I have to say there is some operator called conditional operators that I didn't introduce. Sorry for that. Conditional operators. Okay. So generally conditional operators are nothing but suppose I wanted to check the value A is greater than B or not. So there is a symbol in mathematics. What you do, this is less than. Okay. So there are operators to do that, right? Less than, greater than, uh, equal to operator, less than equal to operator, greater than equal to operators. So these are the things are called as conditional operator. I'm just going to write it again here. Sorry. Less than, greater than, less than equal to, greater than equal to, and equal to equal to. So in our case, suppose I wanted to compare A is less than B, A is less than B, how we can, this is kind of our requirement. Okay. So I just wanted to write it in a programming language, represent in the programming Python. What we do is we write it like A less than B. Similarly, wanted to write A is greater than B. How we check A is greater than B? This is what. So this particular conditions will get executed by the Python and it will return a value either true or false. Okay. That is nothing but to evaluate the conditions. So whenever this conditional operators gets executed, we will always get whether the given condition is satisfied or not. So this will, in our case, 2 is less than 3. So this condition is true. And if you take A greater than B, it will always return. I mean, in this case, it returns false. So which means this condition is evaluated and it's not it's not true. So it will return false. So conditional operators comes to picture when you wanted to check a value, when you wanted to compare two values, whether it is equal or whether it is greater than or less than. So to check these conditions, conditional operators come to picture, and based on these conditions, we will be taking our program in two different paths. Okay, so that's what this conditional statement comes to a picture. So for example, I'm just wanted to say if I'm just taking the value of a, if the value of a is greater than 2, I wanted to go in this direction. If the value of a is less than 2, I wanted to take this direction. Okay. This will tell how the Python programming flow should follow. Okay. So to do this branching, right, conditional statement comes to picture. So how we can enforce this is the requirement. For example, I wanted to say okay, if a is greater than 2, I just wanted to print a statement saying a is greater. I mean, a is greater than 2. Okay, a is greater than a is greater and a is lesser. Okay, so this is the statement string I just wanted to print, and this is my requirement. Okay, this is my requirement which I wanted to implement in Python. So how I implement? Okay, so in for that, just let me tell you what are the statements available here. So there are multiple ways we can write this. What are the control statements? It's suppose let me tell. If is one of the control statement, and if else, and if elif. We'll see one by one of this how it is being used. Okay. So when you wanted to check only one condition, we don't want to have other flow. I wanted to check only this. Only if a is greater than, we are just going to print a is greater. Okay. So in that case, how you write it in Python? So I'm just going to have a variable a. I mean, assume that this value is coming from somewhere. I'm just going to check the condition alone. What I'm going to do, sorry. So if statement, it should be in all small letters, IF. Okay. If I'm just taking a variable called a, and I'm going to check the variable condition. The conditional operator I'm going to use a is greater than 2. And we have a syntax we follow in Python. Whenever we write the condition for if statement, we end up with a colon symbol, which will tell the condition statement is after this. What it will do is it means that it's the end of the if statement, and we'll have the control logic. We'll have a space here. This is to represent the space, and we are just going to print. Okay. Print is again a function which is a basic function which you use in Python to display the contents on the screen. Okay. So now what we wanted is a is greater. This is what we wanted to print. Okay. So if you take this path alone, if you take this path alone, so what I'm trying to do is to execute this particular requirement, I have written this. But what if I wanted to make this path, if a is less than 2, I wanted to write a is lesser. So if this condition fails, what I wanted to do, that is what I need to check. Okay. So for that, there are multiple ways to handle. So what I'm going to do, I can write one more if statement, and each has its some kind of I mean, uh, logical. If I mean the way which you are implementing, there will be some kind of problems you'll face in the runtime, real time. So I will explain you one by one. Later we'll come to the get to the problem what we face if you write like this. Okay. So we can write one more if statement for this. A is less than 2. Then it's as simple as this. Print a is lesser. Okay. Using only single if, I mean, using this if statement alone, we can handle this. So if a is greater than 2, a is greater. If a is less than 2, so some cases, what we do is we'll go for else. So as I mentioned previously, what are the control statement, conditional statements we have? If else, and if elif. Okay. So if suppose if a is greater than 2, what else it will be? If this condition is false, what else it will? In that case, instead of going for this, we can directly use else part, right? Else the same statement. Print a is greater. Sorry, a is lesser. This way we can handle. And there is one more thing which we can write. Instead of using else, we wanted to check the condition still, because else can be equal to a also. So say for example, this condition will fail when the value of a is equal to 2. Okay. So what the requirement is not when a is equal to 2, we don't want it to print anything. We don't have any requirement. When a is equal to, still this will get printed. So I just wanted to avoid that. So I'm just going to wanted to use similar to if, I'm just going to use elif. Okay. Elif is nothing but I will get to that how we wanted to use. So elif, we can write the same logic, a is less than 2, and print the same. Okay. Print a is lesser. Okay. So I mean, what we saw now is like we have given a statement of I mean this is our requirement. If depending on the value of a, we are planning to take the direction in which the program flow should be. So the same expectation, the same requirement can be implemented in multiple ways, but there is a problem in each of these ways. Okay, when you wanted to use multiple ifs, okay, so this is like a single if and this if, it's both are independent. So this is one and this is one, these are independent. This if else and elif is are dependent. So why it is dependent, why I'm saying is only if this condition fails, it will execute this. In this case, this will get executed irrespective of this. Even this condition is false, this will get executed. So if a is greater than 2, there is no point in checking a is less than 2, which is an unnecessary step, which we can avoid by using else or elif. Okay. So these are the kind of flexibilities which is given to the programmer. It should be taken care by the programmer how you are writing. When you are writing the code, you should uh, take care of this. The programming language will give you the functionalities and provisions. It's up to you how you program the logic. Okay. So yeah, the first thing I just wanted to insist for the programming language is logical thinking is very important. when you wanted to address the problem uh, in a programming way, when you wanted to write a program and solve the problem, the very first thing is logical thinking. So what is logical thinking? Again, it is like there is something called problem space. From the problem space, we wanted to take it to a solution space. And what I am showing here, the requirements, whatever we are seeing here, it's kind of closer to the solution space. So we know how to solve this. Okay, this kind of solution space. Okay, just problem space can be very simple. I wanted to compare this a and a value, and based on that, I just wanted to print. That is problem space. When you take this solution space, this is nothing but a logical representation. Once you are clear with the logics, then you can write the programming logic here. So if you are fail to understand this, then writing this program will lead to disastrous effects. So this is what any programmer, any language we use, you have to focus on this. Okay, and yeah. I just wanted to tell you, yeah, if A is greater than 2, and in our case, right? So, as per the requirement, which one fits best? Option, I just am giving you an option called this is, I'm just giving us capital A, option A. This is capital B, and else if part, okay? This is option C. So, as per you, which fits best for this requirement? I'll give you a 1 minute time. Can you guys reply me in the chat? Just I wanted to know whether you guys are listening or not. I just wanted to understand that. Yeah, whether I'm talking alone. Can you reply me in the chat? So again, I just wanted to tell you what I'm trying to do here. I just put it in a very simple form. The requirement is A greater than 2, A less than 2. This is greater, this is lesser. This is the flow we wanted. Okay. This is the logical requirement which we have now. Wanted to implement this. So one option A, what we have is using two if statements. A is less than 2, sorry, A
Your
is greater
screen
than
is
2
not
and A
visible,
is
sir. We
less
are
than 2.
unable to see.
Option B,
Hello?
if
Hello?
A is greater than 2,
Uh,
else
it is
Your
a
screen is not visible.
we are just printing greater or lesser. Option C, we are comparing if A is greater than 2 and print G, and L if A is less than 2, print less. Okay. Yeah. So give me your answer. If your answer is A, just type A in the chat. If your answer is B, type B in the chat. Yeah. Similarly, accordingly, you type. I'm just going to give you a minute for this. Please give me your answer. I'm just waiting for the answer. Yeah. Raj, were you not able to see my screen? I couldn't get what you're saying.
no.
No,
We
some
can
people
see.
said they're not able to see the screen.
Just give me a second. I'm just.
I am able to see.
Yeah, Noor is asking to explain the scenario once again. Hello, everyone. Can you comment your reply in the chat? Noor, actually you're in the mute. I guess you cannot able to speak. I couldn't hear
No,
you.
that time
But
you are explaining time, your screen is not visible. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, I think let's not waste time for
Eddie,
this
can you
and
hear
just
us?
move on and I'm just we are running out of time. I thought of
Listen, my voice is audible.
covering up lots of
Hello,
sections, but I couldn't cover up all. Okay,
hello.
just give me a minute. Oh, sorry guys, I heard a feedback saying you guys are talking and I couldn't. Sorry, guys.
Can you hear us now? Hello.
Uh,
Sorry guys, I mean I'm able to hear you guys now. There is some setting issue. Yeah. So I think few of them asked some questions. I
Can you hear
lost.
us?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you.
Oh,
Yeah, I sorry I missed. Can you who wants to ask some questions? Or who wants some clarity? Can you ask now? I can hear you guys now better.
Noor, you can go ahead.
Ah. Yeah, Noor, you wanted to explain this scenario again, right? Yeah, I'll get
Yeah,
back to
yeah.
you on that.
Once again, explain that scenario. My
Yeah,
voice
yeah,
is now audible.
yeah, yeah. Your voice is audible now. Sorry, there is
That
a
time your
problem.
screen is not visible.
Oh, is it? Is it? Okay,
You
okay.
are explaining the scenario.
Sure, sure. I'll share it again. Thanks, Noor. Thanks. Let me explain this again, so that we'll get back to that part. What I try to explain. So, as we all know, what we tried is like we are trying to use if-else condition statements. So, our expectation is we wanted to check the value of variable a. If the value is greater than 2, we wanted to do a print of, a print it is greater. If the value of a is less than 2, we wanted to print lesser. Okay. So, we have, as per the language, we have provisions of using if else, elif. All these three options can be used to solve this problem. Option A, what we are trying to do, we are trying to use two if statements. Okay. If A is greater than 2, for simplicity, I just written like this. Inside this, there will be a print statement, which I skipped. Okay. So just assume there is a print statement. Okay. If A is greater than 2, I'm just going to print G. Okay. Which is nothing but greater. And if A is less than 2, I'm just going to print lesser. So this is one way of implementing using two if statements. Okay. And option B, here what I'm saying is if else. Okay. I'm just planning to use if else operator in place of double ifs. So what I'm doing is if A is greater than 2, I'm just printing G. If else, I'm just going to print L. Okay. This is one way of handling this. And option C, if A is greater than 2, again I'm doing, but in place of elif, I mean else, I'm just using elif. Elif is nothing but it's similar to if, but only condition, the only based on the condition, if the first statement fails, the else elif will execute. Otherwise, it will never enter elif. Okay. So these are the three comparisons I gave, and these are the three ways we can implement the same logic, whatever we thought we wanted to implement in the programming. And which one fits better for this? That's my question. Option A, option B, option C. You can directly tell which option fits. So I guess already some of them answered this. Noor, were you able to follow now?
It's a little bit your network is broken. So I'm unable to hearing your voice when you
Oh,
are explaining the scenario.
sorry. Yeah. Yeah, Noor, I'll
No,
get.
we are able to hear you properly, Edison. I think there may be some network issue from your side.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Noor, I'll get back to you on that part later. After this call, also we
Yeah,
can
okay,
connect.
okay. You go get.
Yeah, I'm just moving it. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So I guess I'm seeing most of the people are answering B. Uh, so how many answers? Okay, so most of them answered B. I don't see other answers. Okay, so let me take that the crowd answer as B. So most of you guys since answered B, just going to mark this where solution B. Okay, but there is a problem in B. Okay, so B is not the right answer. The answer is C. Okay, C is the right answer. Why I'm saying is, if suppose you take an example, okay, the value of A can be 2. Okay, so A is actually storing an integer value. So I'm just giving a possible values. A can be 2, A can be any other values. For example, A can be 3, A can be 5. Okay, so all these three conditions I'm trying to evaluate. So in our case, in case A, okay, when you take case A, what we are trying to do and what is the output we'll get. In case A, when the value is 3, okay, when A is 3, what will happen? If A is 3, if A is greater than 2, what will it will do? The condition is actually true. So it will print it is greater. And it will comes to the next statement, irrespective of whatever value of A, it will go and check the value of B. I mean, value of A less than 2, okay. Irrespective of this condition gets pass or fail, it will still execute this. So in a way, even answer A is also right, but there is some kind of a performance trade-off. That's why I'm just preferring C. I will come back to that. Even A is also a right answer. Definitely, A can work this logic. I mean, A can satisfy the expected logic. Even C also can be satisfy the logic. So in our case, when A is equal to 3, the value whatever we are getting is G. Okay. When A is equal to 2, when A is equal to 5, okay, these are the three scenarios we are planning to explain. So when A is equal to 2, if A is, even this condition fails and this condition also fails because A is never been, A is not neither greater than 2 nor less than 2. So both these condition fails, it will not print anything. So it is nothing. Okay. So this is expected behavior. As per the expected logic, what we have written here, this is an expected behavior. When A is equal to 5, sorry, I may. Okay, there is one more value. Instead of 5, I'm just making this value as 1. I wanted something for lesser logic. When A is less than 2, we wanted to print the value L, okay, which is lesser. So here, as per this condition, if this if condition again fails because 1 is greater than 2, false. 1 is less than 2, this condition is true, it will print L. Okay. So as per this, the expectation is satisfied by A itself. Okay. Understood. Now we go to the B, which majority of you guys answered. If we'll try to evaluate this logic, okay, I'm just taking the condition A is equal to 3. Okay. When A is equal to 3, what we are trying to do, we are just checking this value 3 is greater than 2 or not. So when if 3 is greater than 2, yeah, this condition is true. In that case, we'll get G. Okay. So this condition, it works perfect. If A is equal to 2, okay, in that case, what is the result as per the B's solution? If A is equal to 2 means the value is actually literally 2. So this condition, if condition, again it fails, it will come to the else block. Else block, what we are trying to do, we are trying to print lesser. So we will get a value L. As per the expectation, as per the logical expectations we have mentioned in the right top. So if A is equal to 2, there is no such condition I have written. Okay. So in that case, we are not going to print either greater or lesser. Nothing should happen as per the scenario of solution of A. So this is the wrong answer. That's why I'm saying answer option B is wrong. So if you guys are able to follow me, now we can unmute and speak. I can hear you guys. If you want to explain again, I can explain. Why option B is wrong, I'm just saying. You guys are able to follow? Okay, thank you. So now we'll move on to option C. Since this condition itself failed, I'm just dropping the solution altogether because we don't need to check other scenarios as well. Now we go to the option C. So if A is equal to 3 and we are checking this condition, in this case, this is true. Okay, so we'll get greater than. Then if this condition is succeeded, we'll never execute this, it will come out of this. And the next level, A is equal to 2. If A is equal to 2, in this case, this condition also fails and this also fails, it will not print anything. And at last, A is equal to 1. So in this case, the first if block, if condition will fail, and the second if condition will get passed. Okay. What is the value now we'll get is L, because A is equal to 1, which is less than 2, we'll get the value less than. So the overall answer, or what I mean, the right answer can be A or C. Okay. When it comes to performance, C is more optimized. Okay. Why C is optimized? Why A is not optimized? There is a problem because using of multiple if statements back to back, if one evaluation, so in this case, if you see A is greater than 2, A cannot be greater than less than 2. So there is no need of checking this condition again. So if you do this way of programming, it will unnecessarily check one more if. So which is giving the program will spend more time on this. So this should be taken care by the developer or the programmer who is writing. Okay. So this will not handle by the language itself. So to overcome this, in place of if, we are using LF. That's why LF is more optimized solution and C is the best solution. And A is also fits this logic, but A is not optimized, but C is optimized. Okay. I hope you guys understood why I said this. Okay. Yeah. Oh, thank you. I hope this concept is understood by everyone. With this, we'll take a break and get back. Yeah. If anyone has any queries or anything, please let me know. Who wants to take a break and they can come back. We can join back at 11:30. Okay.
Sir, this is Raghavendra. Like, I just want to confirm all three options. B is all performance. B is good if you handle logically, like other if else condition.
Mhm.
B is the more performance, right?
Uh, yeah. Actually, there is a problem in B, as I explained you. So when the value, when the value of A is encountered, just give a minute. I think I'm just hearing. I'll just put you on mute. I'm just hearing some noise, background noise. As Raghavendra asked, so B is actually, I mean, performance-wise, it is equivalent to option C. There is a problem. There is a loophole here. What is that problem is when the value is 2, exactly 2, we are failed to check that condition. Okay, but the expectation is A is greater than 2 or A is less than 2, not A is equal to 2. So we never wanted to handle that scenario. Whenever A is equal to 2, we just ignore that part. That is the expected solution we are expecting. Okay, that's our requirement. So in this place, what we are trying to do is we are trying to give the value 2, and still solution B is accommodating and returning a value L, which is incorrect, right? That is why. Just give me a
Yes,
second.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is why we are ignoring the option B. That's it.
Eddie, one more thing.
Yeah.
Please, can you check how many are new to Python?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
will.
that is better. So that
Yeah,
if people are
that
new
way
to
we can
Python,
direct
then
better.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I have failed to check that. Thanks, Lucky, for reminding that. And by the way, he's Loki, which I said mentioned during the time. Thanks, Loki. Uh, can you guys tell me how many guys are new to programming who never had any experience in Python? And I think it's the wrong time which I asked after this complete session, but still it's worth to ask now because still more ways to go. How many of you guys are new to Python who never touched any programming? Not only Python, any programming language. Can you ping me in the chat and confirm? This is the first programming language I'm trying to learn, or anything, whichever. Guys, could you please respond, or else you can talk it over the mic if you're. Yeah, Abdul says yeah, new, and Maheshwaran says I'm new to programming. Okay, okay, Noor is new. Okay, okay. So I guess there is a mix of people who doesn't have any programming background as well. But were you able to follow? I think a few of the areas you might never definitely missed out. You will feel out of the box, or I mean, it's going out of your mind. So sorry for that. I mean, the way it is designed, I was thinking of people has some basic knowledge, but still, I just wanted to accommodate everyone who doesn't have any programming background as well, because Python is one of the simplest language anyone can accommodate. Okay, I mean, anyone can adopt and learn. Yeah. I guess most of them has some knowledge on the programming language. Only few of them are new to this. So my question is for the new people. So who started this? Were you guys able to follow? I mean, you have any complexities in understanding? Please let me know. I will just try to change my pace, and the teaching process I will change. Okay. Please feel free to ask any questions. Don't hesitate. I just wanted this session to be more interactive, and I am sorry for the settings which I did. I'm little confused with the setups. So that's why I couldn't hear you guys clearly in the past. So now all are set up, all good now. I'm ready to hear you guys. Please let me know if you have any issues or anything which you wanted to stop and ask me the queries. You can then and there stop and ask me. I can explain you the details. Okay. Please don't hesitate to ask anything. So I guess most of you guys are aware of this, and I just wanted you guys to take a quick break. Who wants to come back? Please join back at by 11:30. I'm just going to. If you don't have any questions, we will all take a break. If you have questions, I'm ready to wait. Please let me know in the chat session, or else we'll take a break and we'll come back at 11:30. Or if you guys wanted to continue, I can continue as well. Okay, I guess no questions, no more questions. I'm just considering this. Let's take a short break. Uh, I'll be back by, yeah. Yeah, some of you guys are saying we can continue. Yeah, Sheikh. Yeah, thanks for your interest. We can continue, but I just want majority of the inputs on this particular aspect because this is a weekend. I just have taken your time as well. Uh, okay. It's not a big deal. I'll come back by 11, but the actual session starts by 11:30. We can continue your clarifications and stuff. By 11, who are new, if you have any queries, you can please ask me. We'll discuss on that part. And 11:30, the next session will continue. Okay. I'm just putting the recording to stop. Yeah. Okay. So think most of them is asking for to continue. Shall I continue? I think no one left this chat. Okay. Okay, then I'll continue the session. So whenever you guys wanted to take a break, please let me know. I'll just take. Okay, in the chat session you ping me, or else you just open the mic and talk. I'll stop that. Yeah. Okay. So far whatever we have covered is like we have covered the primitive data types, integer. Sorry. Yeah, we have covered the primitive data types, numeric types, which is whole number and decimal numbers, and Boolean logic we haven't covered. So which is like to store the value of true or false. So which is pretty much this what we are trying to do in the conditional operator. But we'll be using a variable for that. We'll get to know once you get to the hands-on session. And similarly, string operations we cover if possible, and that is a separate topic which needs to be focused much. And yeah, we'll go to the list. So now conditional statements is covered, if and if else and if elif. Okay, these are the things we cover, and we'll move on to list. Okay. So what is a list? So list is a data type which is to store multiple items, okay, in a single variable, and we call them, it is mutable. So the meaning for mutable is like we can change the values, we can delete or we can add, we can change the structure, whatever it is. So that is like generally the expectation by a programmer when you wanted to define a list. You will be adding elements to the list, you will be removing an element from the list, all these things. So for those who are new, I just wanted to give a picture of it, what is list, okay. So here I'm just giving you a list, okay. Forget about the index line and just focus on the line which is data, okay. Only focus on this part. This is nothing but the list, okay. Here what we have stored, we have stored the values A, B, C, D, E, which is nothing but the string in Python, okay. That's for the data type. And okay, and here the values of the list we are having, I mean, we are having a corresponding mapping with respect to index. Okay, I'll get back to this once I start defining it. So list is a storage container where we can store multiple items in a single variable. So we don't need to define multiple variables to store. So for example, as I did, for example, I wanted to store a 1 to 10. Like this, there are multiple values I just wanted to store. I don't need to define each and every variable. I mean, define individual variables for every values. Okay, A, B, C, D, like this. We don't need to define. What I can do instead, I can define a variable called array. Okay, for example, A underscore list. I'm just defining a variable name. I'm just going to give this one, the list. So the syntax of list actually starts with open bracket. I mean, this square bracket, open and close. And the values how you give. So in our case, we have given A, B, C, D, E, right? Or else we can consider this example 1, 2, 3 values. I think let's not confuse this. I'll take the above example itself. How we can define the above list. A is equal to A. I mean A underscore list is equal to open bracket A, B, C, D, and E. Okay. So here this particular anyway string which you are representing inside a single quote or double quote, which is considered as the data type string in Python. So to create a list, this is the syntax, how you create a list, okay. A, B, C, D, E. So which is followed, I mean, which is enclosed in a double quote. So once you define this, the internal representation is what it showed here. And this list values and list elements can be accessed using index operation. So which is nothing but how you access the value. Say for example, when you are saying a normal variable A, So we don't need have any special logic to access it. You just call a plus b, the values whatever it's stored, it will get accessed. Say for example, in place of this, I'm just wanted to do operation. I wanted to access these variables in between the list. How do you do that? So we are having a common name. So we cannot directly point to this. I mean, we can point, but what is the provision Python provides to point this? That is nothing but the index. So index is the mechanism which helps us to reach to the element which is present in the given list. So there are two-dimensional list, three-dimensional list, multi-dimensional list. We don't want to get into that for the initial session. So when you wanted to, I mean, this the particular list which you're seeing is in 1D list, okay? One dimensional list. One dimensional is nothing but we'll have only this way. If there is a tabular format which is called as 2D, I don't want to get there. We'll just skip that part. Okay. So here, in case I wanted to access the value B, okay, what I do as per our variable name, a list, I will just, this is nothing but the index operation. I will just open braces, close bracket, and I give the index value. Okay. So B is pointing to index 1. If I do this, I'll get the value B. And I wanted value E, what I will do, I will just give A of list, A underscore list of 4. This is how we will be accessing the values from the list. Okay. And one more thing I just wanted to point here, in list container, we have the index actually starts from 0. Okay. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It doesn't start from 1. That is the thing we need to keep in mind. Any programming language, not this is not only in Python, even C or C++ all supports list in a different way. So Python list is little different, but we'll get to that point later. But any this kind of sequence containers, we start the index from 0. Okay. Here, yeah, you actually see the length of the list is 5 elements we have, but if you see the index count, we are having the value 4, 0 to 4. Okay. Uh, okay. I guess there is a suggestion from Loki, and instead of going more into theory, let's show the practical things over the screen. That will be giving a better picture. Yeah, I do that, Loki. I am planning on that part as well. Yeah, let me explain this, and then I will move on to that terminal session as well. Okay, thanks for that. Yep. Okay. So I was explaining you what is this list and how this list can be accessed. And what are the list operations we generally see is like create, read, and write, delete. So we'll get to know what is when you get to the hands-on part. Okay. So what is mutable and what is immutable? I just wanted to explain that thing. So mutable is something like when you wanted to add some values to the list, we can always add a value, which is nothing but the write operation. We can append, we can insert. It provides two options. We'll see that in the when I'm explaining in the terminal, you can see how we are doing that. And similar to that, we can delete a element from the list. Okay, that is also possible. That also we'll see during the session. Okay, and these are the things about the list. And list is actually, as I said, it's a sequence container, and there's a similar kind of data structure. Only thing is, once you define the structure, you cannot change or modify. That is nothing but tuple. Okay, to store multiple items in a single variable, but still the values cannot be modified. Once you define the values, you cannot modify. Say, for example, in your program, you wanted to use define a tuple. I mean, when do you define a tuple is something like you wanted to have some, for example, a week. We are having assigning Sunday, Monday, Tuesday like that, and you are not going to change that value. Okay, so it throughout that program, whatever program you are writing, that value remains intact. You don't need to change that. So during those cases, in place of list, we'll go for tuple. The advantage is here is it ensures that you are not going to change the value at any time. If you attempt to change it, it will throw an error. Okay. So the syntax difference is a simple thing. So when you are writing a tuple, when you're writing a list, what we do is we use a square bracket when you're and having the elements 1, 2, 3 comma separated. But when you're writing a tuple, the thing is it will be like this. We are using a bracket, normal bracket instead of square bracket, which says it's a kind of a read only. This is kind of a read write, which can be modified, which can be deleted. But once it is defined, this cannot be edited or anything. So that's why we are calling this as immutable. That's the meaning of it. So if you say mutable, so which is like we can edit, we can add, read and write. Okay, that's it. I think better we can go to the hands-on session from here. I don't want to take much of your time. Uh, just give me a minute. Yes. Raj, am I audible?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. Do you want to take up that session or else?
Yeah, yeah, I can take.
Okay. So
So,
I don't know whether we can go for a break or not. I'm not sure. Guys, sorry to say this. Even I definitely needed a break, and everyone here might need it or not. I'm not sure. Shall we meet around 11 o'clock again? I'm just planning to stop this
yes,
session
yes,
for a
we'll
while.
take a break.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
almost like a 2 hours, right?
yeah. I think a few of them are interested to go for, but I feel it's very tough to listen to this process continuously. Sure. Okay. Yeah, we will meet again by 11 o'clock. We'll drop right now. Okay. Please join on the same meeting link. Okay. We'll stop this.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.